Welcome to MSU Extension Tollgate Farm, a 160-acre historic farm located in Novi, Michigan. Tollgate offers visitors the opportunity to experience agriculture and natural resources hands-on in an urban environment. Today, in the first of 4 segments we call Spring into Farming, we'll investigate vermicomposting. At Tollgate, we like to think like a scientist and solve a mystery. Today's mystery is, what is the role of a worm on the farm? And how is it connected to the rest of the living things around us? So this is our vermicomposting bin. So let's take a look at what's happening inside. What do you notice about this bin? What do you wonder? What can you see? You may have noticed that inside there are little bits of vegetables and plants, and also little strips of paper. Also, we have some brown stuff that looks like dirt, and of course, our red wiggler worms. Now, why would we have a bin full of worms? What do you think worms do on the farm? Our worms here are vermicomposting for us. Vermicomposting is when worms break down vegetables and plants, even eggshells, and make worm castings. What is a worm casting? Well, all the brown stuff you saw in this bin was actually worm poop. This worm poop is great for our gardens to provide food for our plants, and it helps get rid of our trash, like our leftover carrot peels and vegetable scraps. What about the worms you see in the ground when you dig in your garden or your yard? Do you think they help the garden? The worms you see in our yard are called earthworms, but they do the same thing as our red wigglers. Both these worms break down plant matter and produce castings. They also help allow air and water to get into the soil when they tunnel through. The next time you dig in your garden, see if you can see some holes and tunnels created by worms. Now that we understand how our worms help us on the farm, how do they connect to other living things on the farm? What does a worm eat? Who eats a worm? What does a worm give us? Worms are decomposers. Have you ever heard that word used before? A decomposer is a living thing that breaks down dead plants, animals, and other living things. Think of them as Earth's cleanup crew, and they include worms, along with fungi like mushrooms, pill bugs, millipedes, and bacteria you can only see through a microscope. Without worms and other decomposers, what do you think our world would be like? Not a place I would want to live in. But not only do worms decompose dead plants and living things for us, they also provide food for other living things. What do you think robins think of worms? Have you ever seen a robin running around your yard looking at the ground? Have you watched one pull up a worm? Other birds, toads, reptiles, and other animals eat worms. This connection worms have to others on the farm is part of the nutrient cycle. What is the nutrient cycle? This is a cycle in which matter and energy is transferred and exchanged between different living things. So when our worm gets eaten by a robin, his matter and energy is transferred to the robin. When a worm breaks down a plant, its energy and matter is transferred to the worm. Now it's your turn to investigate worms. Along with our journal page for this video, you'll find an extension activity with a diagram of a worm and instructions on making your own wormarium. For the diagram, find a worm in your yard or a park nearby and observe it. See if you can identify the parts on the diagram of the worm. But remember, be gentle with your worm. Worms are living things. As we learned, they do very important work for us. Thank you for joining us today to learn about vermicomposting at Tollgate Farm. MSU Tollgate Farm offers learning adventures for all ages, all throughout the year. Check us out on the web for more virtual programs. We hope to see you on the farm in the future.